Today we're going to learn about how to deal with systems of equations that result from mixtures. So dairy owner produces low-fat milk containing 1% fat and whole milk containing 3.5% fat. We want to know how many gallons of each type should be combined to make 100 gallons of milk, that is 2% fat. When we look at a mixture, we need to look at a container, where a percentage of the container is 1% fat, and the other 99% is water or whatever else they have in milk. And we can draw that in the picture in the following way. So this is how we represent the low-fat milk. To represent the whole-fat milk, which is 3.5%, we draw the following picture. So we have two containers of milk. We don't know how much milk is in those containers. In fact, for our purposes, we can assume that we have an infinite amount of each of those bits of milk. And we're going to combine them together into a 100-gallon tank in order to make milk that is 2% fat. So we need one more container. So we're going to add some amount of 1% milk and some amount of 3.5% milk to get a new container that is 100 gallons of milk that is 2%. Now, since we know it's 100 gallons and we know 2% of it is fat, we can actually determine how much of 100 gallons is fat. So we need to get 2 gallons of fat into the new container. Some of it will come from the 1% and some of it will come from the 3.5%, 5%. Please pause the video and copy this into your notes. So we know we're going to take some unknown quantity of 1% milk. So let's call that X. And some unknown quantity of 3.5% milk, let's call that Y. And we know we're going to add them together to get 100 gallons. So that gives us one equation. Now, we also know that 1% of that X is fat. And we know 3.5% of that Y is fat. And we want to make sure that gives us 2% of 100 gallons, or 2 gallons. When we convert the percentages to decimals, we have our second equation. 0.01x plus 0.35y equals 2. So now the goal is to find out where those two equations intersect so we can find out how many gallons of the 1% and how many gallons of the 3.5% we need in order to make our 2% mixture. Please pause the video, copy this in your notes, and find the intersection point for those two systems. So when we solve the system by elimination, we take x plus y equals 100 and put it on top of 0.01x plus 0.035y equals 2. Now, to use elimination, we have to multiply the top equation by 0.01. When we do that, we get 0.01x plus 0.01y equals 1. Then we're going to subtract, and we get negative 0.025y equals negative 1. Divide both sides by negative 0.025, and we get y equals 40. We need to substitute back into one of the two original equations. I chose x plus y equals 100. When we substitute back in, we get x plus 40 equals 100, and therefore x is equal to 60. So we know that 60 gallons of 1% and 40 gallons of 3.5% mixed together make a 100-gallon mixture of 2%. Please pause the video, check your answer, and copy this into your notes. Okay, now it's your turn. One antifreeze solution is 20% alcohol. Another antifreeze solution is 12% alcohol. How many liters of each solution should be combined to make a 15-liter of antifreeze solution that is 18% alcohol? Please pause the video, work through the problem. When you're done, hit play to see the solution. Okay, here's the solution. We know that we have some container of A gallons of antifreeze and some container B gallons of antifreeze. So if we add those two containers together, we have a total amount of 15 liters. So A container plus B container added together gives us 15 liters. So that gives us our first equation, that A plus B equals 15. Now we need to deal with the alcohol. We know in the first container that 20% of the container is alcohol. And in the second container, we know that 12% is alcohol. So if we take the 20% of the first container plus 12% of the second container, that should equal the alcohol in the new container, which is 18% times the 15 liters. So we have our second equation. When we change those percentages to decimals, we have 0.2A plus 0.12B equals 2.7. Solving that systems of equations, we get A is 3.75 liters and B is 11.25 liters. Please pause the video, check your answer, and copy this into your notes.